3 lifelong friends, 6 trusty balls, and endless NFL takes. Welcome to 3 Guys, 6 Balls NFL Podcast.
Welcome to episode 40 of 3 Guys, 6 Balls NFL Podcast. I'm Joel, your host, and I'm here with my 2 co-hosts, Wil and Avery, as always. And joining us today, we have a special guest who's going to help us talk about fantasy football to prepare you guys for Week 15, which is the first week of fantasy football playoffs. We have Steve, otherwise known as Fantasy Buff. How you doing today, Steve?
Great. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Great meeting you guys.
Yeah, it's great to meet you too. Thanks for coming on with us to talk about fantasy football to get the playoffs started. Why don't you get us started today, Steve, by just introducing yourself a little bit and let us know where we can find you on social media.
Yeah. So, as you said, I'm Fantasy Buff. I run a fantasy football page on Instagram at Fantasy Buff 14, and on TikTok, that same at Fantasy Buff 14 on TikTok as well. Yeah, I've been posting fantasy football content for the past couple of years, really just diving into, start sit recommendations, really the draft prep in the beginning, and then all the way through redraft season, just making sure we're staying up to date on start sits, waiver wire pickups, and then in-depth analysis as well of the players and every week that goes on. And I try to provide takeaways for everybody to be ready. And then switching over to Dynasty soon as the season wraps up. So really excited about that. And you can also find me on Substack too, at Fantasy Buff on Substack for in-depth, even deeper analysis for writing articles there. So excited to be able to showcase all of my my work there.
And you just got on X too, is that correct?
I did. I added an X. Honestly, it was because of you messaging me, asking me if I had one. And I was like, no, I don't have one, but I probably should. I never really had an X. I was always focused on like Instagram and TikTok, and I was like, yeah, it's probably a good idea to have all the platforms. So I did add an X, which is at Fantasy Buff 14 there as well. So you can find me through all the socials with that handle.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, again, it's good to have you on the show. And to get us started, what we're going to do today is, as I mentioned in my message to you, Steve, I said that every week in December, I'm going to ask a Christmas question. So last week, I asked the guys what was their favorite Christmas movie. This week, the question is, what is your favorite Christmas song? And we're going to start with Wil, because he has also told me that he would like to sing his favorite Christmas song on the show today.
Oh, did you actually say that, or is Joel just yanking us? He did ask that.
No, I got nothing. It's not even the first Noel. It's just the first time it popped in my head. Man, first off, none of that happened. None of that. I didn't know the question. This is not a scripted show. If it were, we should be doing a lot better. Man, favorite Christmas song. Let me tell you what it's not. I can tell you my least favorite way easier than I can tell you my favorite. The Bruce Springsteen Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
That's awful.
That is a skip every single time. Mariah Carey, I give her 1 play a year. I give Bruce Springsteen 0 plays a year. 0. As soon as it comes on, I will leave the store. If it comes on in the grocery store, I would leave that store. Oh, I forgot something in my car. Wait 2 minutes, 37 seconds, or however long that terrible song is, more like 18 minutes, and then come back in. Now, that's not the question you asked.
This.
Okay, well, I wouldn't recommend it. 0% recommend.
I'm listening to it. I'm going to listen to it right now.
I would leave.
You won't hear it.
No, fair enough.
What's it called?
I think it's Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
My favorites. Man, you legitimately caught me off guard here, and I have no answer.
Well, at least I got you to sing. That's what really matters.
I really like anything by Pentatonics when it comes to Christmas. Michael Bublé's rendition of Santa Baby. That's always going to hit for me.
Yeah, that was bad.
No,
I do. I know it because it plays where I work. So, yeah, that
song starts bad and gets worse. It's the worst Christmas song. I don't know, something like that.
All right, cool. Avery, how about you? What's your favorite Christmas song?
Oh, yeah. I was glad you didn't pick me first. I had to think about it.
I stalled long enough for everyone. You should be ready by now.
Yeah. No,
I took the arrow so you can.
Okay, you can stop stalling. You stalled. Thank you. Stalling achieved.
No, but Avery, look at my sweater.
I'll be honest. I am really not a big fan of any Christmas song. And I think the
Boo.
reason is I am one of those Christmas purists that I feel like Christmas should not only be after Thanksgiving, I think it should be like 2 weeks leading up to Christmas. I feel like the longer it's dragged out, the less magic it has. I don't want to see stuff all the time. I want it to be Christmas and then you're like, "Oh shoot, I got to like lock in cuz it's Christmas season now." But now it's like October and I'm seeing Christmas lights. Like I love the Christian fervor, but like we haven't even gotten to Thanksgiving yet. Like actually at that point we hadn't even gotten to Halloween yet. That being said, I like hearing it when I'm in the Christmas mood. When I'm in the living room with the Christmas tree and some eggnog, then I'm like, all right, now I'm in it. But I don't want to hear it besides that, especially not at work. That being said, my song would probably just be like Canon in D by Pachelbel.
I don't think I've heard of
You
that.
guys,
I don't know.
you've heard it. You've heard it. You've heard it. I think
Okay.
it's got a
Heard it.
different. It's
Oh.
it's definitely got a different.
Would you like to sing it for us, Avery?
Yeah, right.
Nope. Canon in D. I guess there's not a different name for it.
All right, we'll look it up
It's-
after. We'll look it up.
Yeah,
after.
you when you hear it, you'll know it. It's not like a trendy song. It's like bass Christmas, in my opinion. But I don't think it was made for Christmas.
Okay. All right, Steve, you're up. And since you weren't here last week, you can also give us your favorite Christmas movie if you would like to.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I love that one. So the song I was going to say All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey because it was just top of mind because that song plays everywhere all December long.
But Will just crapped on it, so
Yeah, that's an easy one to go with. I like Feliz Navidad, that Spanish song.
Yeah, absolutely.
that's a good one.
That one's
a good
that one's a
one.
banger. I feel like if that's on, I'm happy all the time. The best movie I've hands down, I always say is Christmas with the Cranks. That's my favorite Christmas movie.
That's a good one too.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
that's my
one of
favorite
the
Christmas movie.
one of the few books I've ever read in my life was called Skipping Christmas. And then they made Christmas with the Cranks, and I remember watching it, being like, okay, maybe I'm going crazy. This is exactly like a book I read one time. And then I look up, it was like, oh, based on Skipping Christmas. I'm like, oh, got it. Okay. I watched the whole movie and didn't fully piece it together. I had to confirm it first.
I watch it every year. They used to have it on Netflix. They just took it down, which was unfortunate. So I had to find it on a different streaming platform, but I will make do and make sure I do watch it at least every December. It's my favorite movie, hands down.
All right.
Love it.
Nice. Steve, would you like to sing your song or no? You don't have to. You don't.
Feliz Navidad. Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
sorry,
Will,
I'm
you
not
got it.
Will's
I
the
just gotta
singer
do
on the
it.
show today.
My bad.
All right. So my favorite Christmas song, it's actually a fairly new one. It just came out last year. It's by Jimmy Fallon and the Jonas Brothers. It is called Holiday. And my family has just listened to it just over and over and over again since it came out last year. So that's my favorite
People
Christmas
are
song.
People are coming out with new Christmas music.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's by who?
Dude, it's a
by
whole
who?
industry, dude.
It's by Jimmy Fallon and the
Yeah,
Jonas
you said Jimmy
Brothers.
Fallon. I was like the celebrity, the guy that doesn't sing.
Did they like
He's
debut it
actually
on the
a pretty good
Tonight
singer.
Show?
He is.
He's
Oh,
actually a
cool.
good singer. He has Christmas songs with Meghan Trainor. He has a Christmas
know that.
song with the Jonas Brothers, and he has a Christmas song with Dolly Parton. He has a few other Christmas songs. He actually has a whole Christmas album. If you want to check it out, it's pretty good. He's got one with Justin Timberlake.
I didn't know that. I did
So-
not know that about Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good.
One of our friends growing up has a Christmas album.
Yes, he
Bryce.
does. I listen to
It
that.
is
I've been
I
listening
wouldn't
to it
recommend
It
ever
is
listening to it.
horrible.
I
It is
listen to that
horrible.
thing every single year. The problem is it's getting harder and harder to find CD players. When you get that on Spotify,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the thing is with Christmas music, it's actually like a bracket. It's like a you're trying to break into like the canon of Christmas music. Like every year there's hundreds of songs that go out, and it really just comes down to like which radio station or who's playing one of the songs the most, and then people are like, I like that song. So Joel right now, that Jimmy Fallon song is probably going to break into the Christmas zeitgeist. Like, eventually that will be one of them. Like Mariah Carey, the first year that she put that song out, it was like, hey, there's a whole bunch of new songs. Which one is everyone going to gravitate to? And if you get it, then you don't have to do anything for the whole year. You can be frozen. And then they thaw you out in November, and you go out and play your song one time for Will, and that's it. And you've got it made. Everyone's trying to get into that Christmas money.
All right. Well, Will, why don't you go ahead and give us your Week 14 wrap up, and then we'll get into the fantasy football talk.
So it should be no surprise on this show that I started with just absolute hate and slander towards both Bruce Springsteen and Mariah Carey. I hate everybody on this show, not people that do the show. I'm just a general hater of people on this show. So let's keep it going with the Week 14 wrap-up. Because let me tell you, there were some quarterbacks that I don't like that did not play well. Week 14, let's start with Cowboys at Lions Thursday night. And a must-win for both teams winning the playoffs with offensive stars all over the field. Dallas defense just doesn't do enough. Brandon Aubrey hits 3 different field goals from 55 yards or longer. But it doesn't matter. When the other team's scoring 7 and you're scoring 3, you're just not going to win the game. 30 points is enough to win most games in the NFL this year, just not against the Lions. Titans versus Browns. And the game that should have been the Who Cares game of the week may have been the second best game of the weekend. But it happens. This is what happens when you put 2 really bad teams up against each other. I truly think that both franchises should walk away with hope. Titans hold off the Browns in a late fourth quarter comeback they were trying to make. Shedeur played well. Cam Ward didn't look the worst. Overall positive things, and the Titans should be well pleased. Myles Garrett only got 1 sack that game. Falcons at Seahawks. I hope there were a lot of Seahawks fans in Atlanta because they were the only ones who decided to play offense and defense. Seahawks win big, increasing Mike McDonald's road win record to 12-2 in his first 2 seasons. Colts at Jags. Colts lose again, and in a big way. Indiana Jones tears his Achilles while having a fractured fibula. Other teams are getting healthy at the end of this year, but not this Colts team. Don't worry, though. Grandpa Rivers is here to save the day. And yes, the Colts did sign Phillip Rivers today. That did happen. The Colts will need to win probably 2 of their last 4 games to make the playoffs, and they only play the Seahawks, Niners, Jags, and Texans in their last 4. It's totally doable. Tough going for them after a really hot start. Jags win here. It's good for the Jags. Good for them to get their first-round loss in the playoffs out of the way early this year. Commanders at Vikings. Vikings shut out the Commanders the week after being shut out themselves, and I figured out how. Kevin O'Connell threw away his playbook. Just threw it out. He went up to Michigan and said, give me your playbook because this is the only way JJ can win. And they handed the ball off at a 1.5-to-1 ratio. They handed the ball off 1.5-to-1. So every 1.5 plays, they're handing the ball up and throwing it once. It was almost 2-to-1 ratio. He did have 3 passing touchdowns. I know what you're saying, but he threw the ball for 3 touchdowns. Right, 26 total yards on those 3 plays. Let's not act like he was out here throwing 70-yard bombs, all right? The dude sucks. But Kevin O'Connell made the right coaching play. This is how he wins. Let's play that way. The Commanders just have a bad enough defense to give the Vikings running backs enough yards to win. Bengals at Bills. Josh Allen would not be denied the win. An absolute total effort from the man, and 2 late picks on back-to-back plays from Burrow sealed this one away. Saints at Bucks. Saints steal a win and ruin their draft spot, and again, it only matters for pride. It was a divisional game, but the Bucks, that game truly didn't matter when it comes down to the end of the season. It may matter, but right now it doesn't. Shuck didn't look half bad, though. Didn't look half good, but didn't look half bad. Steelers at Ravens. Aaron Rodgers looked like Aaron from 10 years ago when he was moving around that field. The Steelers pushed the Ravens out of the playoff picture. And did anybody else see the Aaron Rodgers scrambling touchdown? First scrambling touchdown he had in 2 years. Good for him. Dolphins at Jets. Dolphin wins. Who cares? Broncos at Raiders. The Broncos do whatever it takes to make sure they play in a 1-score game, no matter who they are playing. The good news is for them is that they keep winning. They have 4 tough games to finish the season. It's like Colts. No, not Colts. I don't remember. Yeah, Chargers, Chiefs.
And a couple other guys.
I don't remember who. Yeah, they've got a tough schedule going forward. This 1-score stuff's about to run out for them. Maybe not, but their defense is quite good. Rams at Cardinals. Rams went big. Puka's offensive player of the year. Stafford's MVP. What else is there? Moving on. Packers at Bears. In a game that started gritty with no points in the first quarter, finishes with Caleb Williams making a high school JV quarterback throw 3 yards short of his receiver in the end zone, throwing a pick to seal the game with a loss for the Bears in Lambeau. Let me tell you, Caleb Williams did not play well. Watch the game if you don't believe me. This Bears team is crumbling, and Caleb Williams is the cornerstone here of their crumble. They will miss the playoffs. They just dropped this week from 1-7. They are not looking good. And this is what happens, right? First-year head coach. He's done an amazing job. Ben Johnson should probably win Coach of the Year. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but the magic has worn off, and people are like, oh, right, Caleb Williams isn't that good. Get him out of the pocket, get him moving, but keep him behind the line of scrimmage, make him throw the ball. Dude's not great. Texans at Chiefs. Defense wins championships, and the Texans have the best one in the NFL right now. The Chiefs don't look great. Their run may be over, but at least you have something to finally look back on, unlike the Vikings. Eagles at Chargers, and probably the worst overtime game played of all time, with the worst quarterback play from both teams. One just happened to be way worse. Jalen Hurts threw a pick and fumbled the ball in the same play. That is real. I don't know if you've seen the play. Jalen Hurts threw an interception and also fumbled the ball on the same play. Hurts has 5 turnovers, and the Eagles still took the Chargers to overtime. I would not feel great if you're a Chargers fan. So that was week 14. Week 15.
Justin Herbert didn't feel good. Didn't he get fined for not interviewing?
My hand is broken. Well,
No,
yeah,
after the game.
The lady tried to come up to him. He was like, I'm trying to celebrate with my team. And she's like, I know, but can I just talk to you for a second? And he's like, I guess.
And then he gave her the interview, and then he got fined for not giving an interview. I was like,
He got
dude.
fined? I didn't know he got fined. I didn't know that.
That's what I
know
saw.
he
I
got
mean,
denied.
there's a possibility that could have been just some Instagram slop, but
No.
It wouldn't
that
surprise
man
me.
showed zero emotion when they got that game-winning interception in overtime. Literally zero emotion. He just they won. He just walked on the field like nothing happened. Yeah, I don't know. Trying to celebrate with my team. I guess. But also he had a broken hand. He was pushing Eagles defenders away with that hand. Just get out of here. Mind my broken hand. Good golly.
tough.
He's
He
tough,
just wanted
but,
to. He just wanted to go find Madison Beer. That's all he wanted to do.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
blame him.
All right. Well, let's get into the fantasy football talk to help you guys with your first round fantasy football playoff matchups. So to start us off with this, Steve is going to give us 3 starts and 3 sits for week 15 to help you guys win your first round playoff matchup. So Steve, the floor is yours.
All right, appreciate it. Yeah, so week 15 is a big week. You got a lot of, fantasy. It's the first round for a lot of people. Some people have buys, but for most of us, this is our first round. So, you made it this far. It's really impressive and a lot. It's harder, it's hard work to get there. You got to make a lot of waiver claims. You got to make a lot of trade offers, et cetera. And you got to pay attention throughout the whole year. Injuries happen, et cetera. So now you made it. It's great news for everybody that actually is in it. But now you got to really make sure you're starting the right people, and you got to chase usage and you got to chase the matchup. So my first start, Sam Darnold. I liked him last week at the QB position. He did really well against the Falcons. The Falcons have been playing poorly as of late against the pass. So I kind of did. I saw having him in the starting lineup would be probably a good benefit, and it worked out well. Moving on to this week now, he gets to play the Colts. I think Will mentioned that earlier in his takeaways. They play the Colts this week. They are home. There's a few reasons why I like that. The Colts just traveled to Jacksonville, and now they have to travel all the way to Seattle to play the Seahawks. They are down 2 key defensive, juggernauts, if you will. Charvarius Ward just had a concussion, so that's going to hurt them. I don't know if he's going to be out per se, but he's banged up right now, and he is in concussion protocol. And then Sauce Gardner, obviously he has that injury that's been, looming and people are, there's obviously going to be rumors and news and updates on that. So there's key injuries right now. The defense has looked pretty bad as of late against the pass. They're allowing over 280 yards per game. I think 285 yards per game for the pass. And again, just traveling is going to really mess them up. And then Sam is another thing to focus on. He ranks first in the league in big time throw rate, hovering around 10% this season. He's really looking deep for JSN, It's been, obviously great for him to have JSN. It's been great for JSN to have Sam Darnold. I think that's going to be another game where they can just continue to throw the deep ball. He's playing, really good against zone coverage this year, and the Colts play zone around 65%. So I do think he's a great start this week, especially if you have Daniel Jones, especially if you have, Jaden Daniels and you need a backup, whatever it is, a replacement spot start. He's going to be one that I'm picking up off of waivers and playing him. The running back side, I have Woody Marks. I've been really off of Woody Marks the last few weeks for obvious reasons. He hasn't been productive at all. The matchups have been brutal for him as well, so that's been a big part of it. And then he has the Nick Chubb part of it as well. Having him split carries and, taking goal line work is not good for fantasy. But what I'm noticing is his workload is getting better and better as weeks go on. He is taking more of the share of the snaps compared to Nick Chubb. But what I liked in week 14 against a tough run defense in the Chiefs, he did find the end zone on a pass play, which was great for fantasy if you started him that week, even though most people didn't, and I suggested not to. I think, if you got what you're doing now in this week, he's got a better option. He's going against Buffalo, which is a really bottom of the
run defense.
Bad run defense, bottom of the league run defense. We just had Bucky Irving have a really good day against them. Sean Tucker was involved. Rashad White was involved. So they can really be exploited. And he's rushed over 4.6 yards per carry, Woody Marks. So I do think, he has a good option to be able to face them and get a pretty good game against them. And I think I met him and spoke. I think he plays the Cardinals this upcoming week, which again also is a bad run defense along with the Bills. So he plays the Cardinals and the Bills, and they allow, the Cardinals allow over 4.5 yards per carry and a high rate of explosive runs, which is, runs over 10 or more yards. So I think Marks gets exploited, used a lot in this game. I think he's going to be getting the red zone looks. Chubb is down with an injury right now. He left the game last week. We don't know if he's going to be coming back yet. We have to keep tab on that. But I do like him a lot this week. And my third start, Terry McLaurin. He faces the Giants this week, which is just an very easy matchup for wide receivers. They rank 27th in fantasy against the wide receiver position, allowing over 30 fantasy points to the position on average per game. It's an elite matchup for him. I know Jaden Daniels just went down with an injury again. I don't mind having Mariota in. I don't think anyone really minds having Mariota in for Terry. His first game back was 2 weeks ago, and he was the wide receiver 14 that week, and he played very well. He scored a touchdown, and he had some pretty decent yardage in that game, and he had some pretty decent targets with Mariota in. So I think if Mariota is playing, and even if Jaden does some reason they put him back in and play, which probably isn't the best idea, I'm okay with starting Terry no matter what, just because the Giants are really soft on defense against the pass and against the wide receivers. So I think Terry McLaurin is a good start. I think you can go with Deebo Samuel too, obviously, if you need him, if you have him on your team. Both options are very solid. So those are some solid starts. I can move into the sits here if you want, or if you wanted to discuss those, whatever you want to do.
Just real quick, I just wanted to say Terry McLaurin has actually had, I don't have the actual fantasy numbers, but just looking at his stats, it looks like he had probably his best games with Mariota. So versus Daniels. So having Mariota in is actually probably a good thing for Terry McLaurin. So it's just because the starting quarterback is not in, it doesn't mean that you should shy away from Terry McLaurin moving forward. So I like
Agreed.
that.
And no Ertz now, right?
No Ertz either. It's a good point. It's a really good point. No Ertz, who does eat some targets every week. It's really going to be McLaurin and Deebo in the pass game. You have Chris Rodriguez, who gets a lot of work too, but overall he's a running back. I do think, like you said, with Mariota, it's a win-win, but against the Giants, it's just that matchup's insane. I'll start any wide receiver against the Giants. It's too easy. So for the sits, I can transition over the sits here. The sit one, the QB sit I have is Jacoby Brissett. This one just comes down to matchup. He's been doing everything the right way for the Cardinals. He's been looking great, so much so that they don't have Kyler playing anymore. They just kept him on IR. So it's it's kind of crazy because Kyler is obviously the franchise QB that they paid all this money to. But Jacoby's been balling out. He's been playing well with Michael Wilson. He's been playing well with Trey McBride, a little bit with Marvin Harrison Jr. when he's on the field. He's been looking really good. He's throwing the ball a ton. That's great for fantasy. He doesn't really run a lot, but he's throwing the ball 40 plus times, which is really great for fantasy. The only problem is the matchup. He's facing the Texans, and the Texans are literally like just the hardest defense in my opinion. Seattle's right there too, but the Texans they shut out Josh Allen. they shut out Patrick Mahomes. If you can shut those two quarterbacks out, I don't think they're gonna have a problem with Jacoby Brissett and the Cardinals, who just aren't good in general, like overall as good of a team as like those other teams. And I just think it's going to be a tough time for him to get anything going. They force a lot of pressure, and then they obviously have blanking on the guy that they have, Stingley, I believe, is their defensive
Stingley?
back.
Derek Stingley,
Yeah, Stingley. They have Stingley who can literally stop Michael Wilson, no problem. And I like Michael Wilson, and I like Marvin Harrison Jr. too. I was really big on him before the season. Just hasn't worked out with injuries and just staying on the field consistently. But I just think that's Stingley and the pressure they're going to put on Brissett and the offensive line for the Cardinals is like one of the worst in the league. I don't think this is going to be good for him. So I would happily sit Brissett this week, even though he's been really helping a lot of teams get into the playoffs. You can find another option like Sam Darnold, like Trevor Lawrence. Swing for upside with Shedeur Sanders if you want to. But this is a really good sit for me. And then RJ Harvey, this one might be tough for a lot of people. He's been playing well since he took over the full-time position with Dobbins down. His matchups have been good the last couple of weeks, which has helped him. But he's facing Green Bay, who ranks 8th against the running back, allowing 17 fantasy points per game on average. Harvey is seeing his workload increase since the Dobbins injury, as I mentioned, and he's someone that finished top 5 last 2 games, but those were against the Commanders and the Raiders. This is really a bigger challenge in Denver, against Denver in Green Bay, I should say. They continue with their defensive dominance, and I think they've been able to stop the run consistently the last few weeks. They might have some, big games from one running back here and there, but Green Bay is really good on defense. They just stopped Swift and Monangai after they just destroyed the Eagles a week prior. So I just think Harvey's a rookie. We have to be careful with that. There can be boom weeks. There can be a lot of bust weeks as well against tough defenses. So I'll be okay not putting him in a flex spot or even an RB2 spot this week. And Michael Pittman Jr. I think we'll talk about this more and more, later in the conversation. But, Will had mentioned about the Colts losing Daniel Jones, and that affects everybody. It affects Jonathan Taylor. It affects Tyler Warren. It affects Michael Pittman, the wide receiver 1, their X factor. That's going to hurt them going against Seattle. That's a tough defense. Like I said, just like the Texans, no longer having Daniel Jones. Who are they going to start? Riley Leonard, if he's healthy, or are they going to start Phillip Rivers, who they just signed, like you mentioned earlier? I don't want any part of that offense right now. I think you have to start, some other players like Jonathan Taylor, but it's going to be tough right now with them. And I'm staying away from Pittman for probably the rest of the season, to be honest. If he's literally your only option, I get it, but you got to find other options if you can on the waiver wire, or hopefully you have some depth pieces on the bench that you can fill in.
Is Phillip Rivers not still coaching high school? Was he just like
not anymore?
Their team lost. No. Their team
Does high
lost
school
the
end
state championship this year? Yeah. Their team lost the state championship this year.
And he's like, "You guys don't know how to play. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. You gotta play." I would love it.
So hold on, I got some more fun facts on this now that we're talking about it. So Phillip Rivers had Shane Steichen as his QB coach way back when in San Diego, right? Like San Diego, and then LA, and then obviously Shane Steichen goes to Indianapolis. And I don't believe, actually, he may have been offensive coordinator there when Phillip was there last time. Now, that was 2020, COVID years. So Phillip Rivers has been out of the league. He's up for Hall of Fame right now. Like, so it's at least 5 years. But Phillip Rivers, I think JJ Watt put a tweet out about this. It's still a tweet, right? It's not, they don't call it an
JJ
X.
I don't know what it's called anymore.
He put a post on the social media platform X out about this. The fact that Phillip Rivers and Shane Steichen have been in talks weekly on offensive scheme and offensive plays. And Rivers, it's weird calling him Phillip, Rivers ran the same offense as Indianapolis at the school he was coaching at. Now, yes, you could say that means the Colts are running a high school offense. Sure. Or you could give it the good side and say that the Mississippi State Razorbacks, or wherever he is high school coaching, I think it's in California actually, is running a pro-style offense. But it's not like Rivers going to walk in not knowing the offense, not knowing the calls, not knowing the verbiage. He's going to have all that information already. I think a counterpoint to what you just said, Steve, right?
Yeah.
Is that I actually think we're going to have big weeks for Jonathan Taylor, which you did not say was bad. But I think Tyler Warren is going to have a good week because new quarterbacks and weak quarterbacks look for two things: the dump off to the running back and the dump off to the tight end. So I was really hoping for a Tyler Warren quarterback start. He played quarterback in high school, and I think he was back up in college. Oh yeah, he last week when what's his bucket Daniel Jones went out, Tyler Warren was QB number 2. He was
Wow.
QB number
Yeah.
2 on the depth chart.
Backup.
So
No
I
way.
was looking forward to that. He is my fantasy tight end. Looking for a real Taysom Hill type guy, but it just didn't happen.
You know, you mentioned the possibility of some pro team running a high school offense. I do want to set the perspective that these are all adult, grown men playing a child's game. Just so we're clear,
Well, I know,
like
I
this
know
is
you with child
Okay.
game.
All right. Cool. Well, Steve, thank you for giving us those 3 starts and sits for week 15. So now what we're going to do for the remainder of the episode is we're going to go through several guys in fantasy football that people may have questions about as they go into the playoffs. So not all of these guys are, but a lot of these guys we're going to talk about are guys who started off strong and have kind of faded down the stretch, or for whatever reason. It could be because of like the Colts with their quarterback situation, or for whatever reason it is, some of these guys are kind of in a situation where you might be questioning, is this a guy that I can really trust going into the fantasy football playoffs? So we're going to talk about as many guys as we can with the remaining time we have. And so to start off here, since we kind of already touched on it a little bit, let's talk about Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Warren. We'll just group them together real quick. So, Will already mentioned it. We might as well just stay on that and kind of get everybody's thoughts on that. So, Steve, we'll start with you. Give us some thoughts on Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Warren moving forward in fantasy football.
Yeah. So Jonathan Taylor's interesting. I am scared of both of them, but I like what Will pointed out there. But I'll start with Jonathan Taylor. Taylor's been, since the bye week, he's been really underwhelming for fantasy.
Very.
He's been the running back 26, running back 19, and running back 20 in half PPR leagues. So he hasn't really been doing what he was before the bye week, which is the overall running back one, scoring 3 touchdowns a game practically every week, it felt like. But now it gets really, those were because he had tough matchups, before Daniel Jones got hurt, before anything like that. He had Kansas City, which stopped him very, very much so that week. He had Houston, again, another tough defense. They didn't let him score. That was tough for him. He's getting the workload. Obviously, he's a bell cow. He's getting over 90%, 95% of the snaps, but his and the attempts are huge. He's 20 attempts plus a game. But the problem is he's just not scoring touchdowns. They're not getting to the goal line. They're getting a red zone for him, and the offense has been lacking. Now you mix that in with playing tough defenses again, but now he has no quarterback to actually have any threat of passing. So you're playing Seattle next week. You're playing San Francisco, and you're playing Jacksonville. Seattle and Jacksonville are really tough run defenses. San Francisco is like in the middle of the pack. So that's 3 defenses that can really stop the run, and they're going to focus on him entirely because they don't have a true quarterback that can get the ball out and actually pass down the field to threaten them in any way. And Seattle pressures the hell out of the quarterback and pressures the hell out of the run. So like this is going to be really, it's going to be unfortunate for a lot of people that own Jonathan Taylor. You're still starting him. The talent is undeniable, and you just hope
You
and
have
bank
to.
that he can still score and he can still break off long runs. I'm not saying that's impossible, but I don't like it, and nobody likes it right now with the matchup, the scheduling, and not having Daniel Jones to threaten the pass. It's going to be really tough for the most important weeks of your fantasy season.
As you mentioned, yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Seattle Seahawks, they're both top 4 run defenses. So, as you mentioned, those defenses are just going to key in on Jonathan Taylor and just make sure that he does not beat them. And that's really all they have to do, because they don't really have a threat in the pass game right now. And if there's anybody who's going to be a threat, it's probably, as Will mentioned, Tyler Warren, because they're just going to go for those short passes just to like a dump off safety blanket type of guy. But really, that's going to be a really, really tough couple of games for Jonathan Taylor, just because those defenses are already so good at defending the run, and now there's just no other threats on that offense.
Yeah, and with Tyler Warren back on that part too, like I'm going to have him ranked probably right at my tight end 10 this week. Usually he's like top 5 for me, but I'll probably have him like at that tight end 9, tight end 10 position. The reason being is because his schedule for the tight end is opposite of what the running back schedule is like for the Colts. The Seattle Seahawks, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars don't really play the tight end position well at all. So there's hope. There's a little bit of hope. But the problem is like I don't know how much we can trust a Riley Leonard to be able to actually get his security blanket the ball on time with precision, with accuracy. We just don't know what to expect. Last week was kind of like a really small sample size and it wasn't great at all.
It wasn't good. Yeah, he
no,
only
it
had
wasn't
2
good at
catches,
all.
and they had 2 catches for 15 yards.
Exactly. That's not doable for your first round of the playoffs or really a championship run. You have to start him too, unless you have like a backup option. If you have a Theo Johnson, a Brenton Strange, things of that nature, even a Mark Andrews, who I'm not thrilled to start him, but he is playing Cincinnati, who's the worst at covering the tight end. But like if you have those options, I might be starting them over Tyler Warren at least this first week just to see what they do with Tyler Warren in that offense with a backup quarterback that no one's really knowing what's going to happen. And Philip Rivers plays that emergency QB role. He's 44, and like I just don't know how that's going to work either. So I'm not trusting it. The matchup makes me a little bit optimistic for him. And what like Will said, having that security blanket, he definitely is going to be a security blanket. Like Michael Pittman will not be. I don't think he can be it. It's not. I just don't see that happening. But with Tyler Warren, every tight end is the quarterback, a new quarterback's best friend. And, I think you can hang on to that. But if you have some better options, I definitely would be playing them probably.
Yeah. All right, Avery, you're the only one who hasn't given us any thoughts on the Colts. So do you have anything to add before we move on to the next guy?
I think they'll make it work. I think that Daniel Jones going out is a big deal, but it is still just Daniel Jones.
That's fair.
Let's not lose ourselves here. But I have trust in Carly that she will make the right call, that she'll get the coaches in line and let them know what's what. And whether it's Tyler Warren or somebody else throwing the old pigskin, I think they're going to get it done. I think it's more than just Daniel Jones, and I think they'll find a way to keep this generational run rolling.
All right, cool. All right, so the next guy we're going to talk about is a guy that I pounded the table for when we were doing our draft. He's very dear to my heart. Is Bucks receiver Emeka Egbuka. Do you guys trust Egbuka in the fantasy playoffs?
I do trust him in the fantasy playoffs. It's probably not what a lot of people will say, but there's a reason why. His target share is really elite. Like he's getting way more targets than he did before the bye week that they had. So he's actually before before the bye week. So he's actually getting more targets. He's like 13, 10, 11, 12, 9. Like he's getting a lot of targets, which is in my world, in any fantasy world that you play in, that's like so powerful. So he's getting looked at by Baker. The downside is Baker is definitely playing hurt, but if you watch the games, and I know you said you guys watch the games like for the Bucks, if you watch those games, like he doesn't look 100% at all. He's missing throws. He just doesn't stand in the pocket as normally as he does. He looks a little off. I'm not saying he's like the worst, but he's just looking a little off right now. And the other problem is just like every other wide receiver in this world, for some reason this season, Emeka is struggling with drops, which is like just so weird to me. These elite wide receivers are just dropping the ball left and right. I don't really know why that keeps happening, but I do have hope because the talent's there. He's getting the targets. So I do think that's going to help, but also let's also think about what's at stake for them. They have to beat the Panthers to win the division. So like, just like Seattle with Sam Darnold, they have to battle the Rams to win their division. Baker and the Bucks have to battle the Panthers to win the division. They're not really making the wild card. So they have to keep passing. They have to be playing lights out. They have to keep trying to score touchdowns and actually putting up a lot of points. They can't rely on their defense, as we mentioned earlier. They're not a very good defensive team. So like this is my hope for them, is that they do continue to get him involved. Mike Evans is coming back. Chris Godwin is back. Maybe Jalen McMillan comes back as well. But with Mike Evans coming back, that should open up the field. It shouldn't hurt him. Maybe the targets drop by 1 or 2, but overall, like, that gives him some opportunity to get a little bit more space, lose the double coverage, maybe not be the true number 1 anymore, and have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin just be able to be a little bit more of a focus for the defense, and then Ibuka really gets going. If we saw the beginning of the season, that's really what happened with Ibuka. He was scoring touchdowns left and right because kind of, Evans was on the field for him. So I am optimistic. It might burn me. I understand that. He hasn't scored more than 10 fantasy points per game the last 5 weeks. It sucks, but I do think it's going to get better, and they have to score. They have to win to win a division. So I'm looking forward to that.
So I'm going to agree with you. I also have faith in Ibuka in the fantasy playoffs because Mike Evans is coming back and Jalen McMillan is coming back. And I think a lot of people are going to think the opposite, like you mentioned. I think a lot of people are going to say, well, that's going to hurt Ibuka in fantasy. I don't think so. I think that it's going to actually help him because, like you mentioned too, at the beginning of the season, he was doing really, really well because he wasn't the center of attention. And I said this leading up to the NFL draft. I said that Ibuka was the biggest threat on the field at Ohio State without being the center of attention because he always had another guy. He had Marvin Harrison Jr., he had Jeremiah Smith, but really he was the biggest threat on that field, but he just wasn't the center of attention. And I think right now at this stage in his career, that is where Ibuka is best. And so getting Mike Evans back is going to really help him. It's a lot to put on a rookie, regardless of how good you are as a receiver, to be that number 1 guy in an offense. And just as much as I would love Ibuka to be on the same level as like a Jamar Chase, he's not. He's not Jamar Chase. So to put that on Ibuka to be the number 1 guy who has to do everything for your offense, it's a lot for him to do, especially because he's never done it. He never did it at Ohio State. He was always the secondary guy, but as the secondary guy, he thrived. And so I think that's why I have a lot of faith in Ibuka in the fantasy playoffs, especially if Mike Evans is back.
I loosely disagree. I've kind of lost faith in Ibuka a little bit. I don't want to say that I dislike him, but watching him, forget the scheme or whoever else is there or who's on him. Dude has dropped some embarrassing balls. Dropping balls. Like, one of those things where I see that and I'd be like, if Tez dropped that, I'd be like, bro, look, you were a 6th round pick. You better pick it up because you're going to get cut. and I see Ibuka making these and just missing them. And it's not even like, oh, dude was triple covered. It's like, no, it hit both of his hands and dropped. And so for me, I'm like, look, yeah, maybe you haven't ever been the top guy because you're at Ohio State, wide receiver university, and you go there because you know that there's the top talent there. But, dude, if you have not emerged in your entire time as in Ohio State as a top receiver, and mind you, he had more yards than any of those guys. Granted, it was spread across 4 years and everything, but never emerged as the top guy. So part of me wonders, like, dude, you were a 1st-round pick. Are you worth it? Can you be that top guy? If you can't be that top guy and you can't make these catches where the ball hits you in both hands, what are we doing here? Like, at that point, it's making me believe even more. Like, stop paying these skill positions. Go get another Tez Johnson. Go get another 140-pound dude who has the slowest 40 time and let him show you up. So to me, I'm like, dude, look, you're the top pick. You may not be the top guy. You may not have that experience, but you better figure it out because that's what you're paid to be. Anyway, he's fine, though. I like him.
Will?
Yeah, I do. Oh, go ahead, Will.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you got it, Steve. You got it.
No, I was just gonna, I get Avery's point on all of that, to be honest. The drops are horrendous. I mean, you guys watched the games. CeeDee Lamb's dropping balls. AJ Brown dropped 2 balls last night. Like, Rashee Rice dropped a bunch of balls on Sunday night. Like,
Will did a few weeks ago.
which one? Will? Oh, well. Yeah, no, they're dropping the footballs quite a bit, and it's alarming. I don't understand. But I'm trying to bank on something, and the target share is something that I've been banking on. Ibuka's got to score. It's I understand the frustration. I understand not wanting to play him. I didn't play him last week. I know a lot of people didn't play him last week for obvious reasons, and it worked out well for you if you didn't. But this is do or die. They have to win these next few weeks. They have to get him involved. Mike Evans is coming back. It should work out for him for fantasy, for your team, and for the Buccaneers if they really want to win the division. They can't. This is do or die for them.
You don't give Ibuka any kind of pass for the rain that they were in last week?
Dude,
Yeah,
if you want to be the
receiver.
You're a pro.
There's
Yeah,
a
you're
reason
pro.
we
You
only
got
have Mike Evans. We only have Mike Evans. If you keep dropping these balls, we're never gonna get you, bro.
We're never going to get your Funko Pop, dude.
Yeah,
Come
where's your Funko Pop? Make some catches. Be wide receiver number 1. Oh, never done it before. Scary. Anyway, I'm sorry.
All right, let's move on to the next guy. So since we just talked about a rookie, let's do another rookie. And Steve, since you're a Panthers fan, let's go with Panthers wide receiver Ted McMillan. Give me some thoughts on
Oh.
McMillan. What do you think about McMillan in the fantasy playoffs?
I love him. I think he's been great this whole season. I honestly didn't have him ranked as high as Ibuka, which was just bad on my part. I just didn't know what to expect with Bryce, to be quite honest. I like Bryce, but for fantasy, it's he's not great for fantasy. But for football, he's a good game manager type quarterback. He's able to spread the ball. He's able to obviously make some wins here and perform under some certain pressures, as we saw against the Rams in some other games earlier in the year. But yeah, Tet's been, he's been blowing me away. He's been blowing a lot of people away. He's in my opinion, the best wide receiver since Steve Smith on this team, and he's clearly been an elite asset for the Panthers. I think when it's all said and done, right now he's a wide receiver 13. I think he finishes obviously top 10 when the season's over with. He has some pretty good matchups coming up: the Saints, then the Buccaneers, and then he plays the Buccaneers again at the end of the season. But that's not really important for the fantasy playoffs. The really, it's just, can we trust Bryce? Can Bryce get it done? Earlier in the season, he wasn't scoring any touchdowns because Bryce really wasn't throwing the ball. He had like over 100 yards a few games, like most of the games, he wasn't really throwing a ton of yardage, not a lot of touchdown passes being thrown. That affects everybody, including Ted McMillan. But I think now we're starting to see in the last 3 weeks, the offense is starting to open up. Ted has 4 touchdowns in 3 games, which is phenomenal. He's going to continue to get involved as we go on this stretch run, just like Ibuka, just like the Bucs. They have something to play for. They have to win the division. And what I like the most about Tet that I try to look at and understand from a fantasy side is his usage is insane. He has a 26% target share, which is really elite for a wide receiver. And then he has over 7.5 targets per game and an extremely high route participation of 97.4%, which just means he's on the field constantly running routes literally every play. So he's getting open. He's getting the ball looked at him. He's getting targets. He's getting open, and he's now scoring touchdowns, which is great for fantasy. So in my opinion, with the matchups coming up, I think Tet he could be definitely a league winner for a lot of teams. And you took him late. You took him, 4, 5, 6 round, in 4th, 5th, and 6th round. Some people took him a little higher, but if you're able to get him in that 4th to 5th range, that's great. That's really great value for a league winner. So I'm really excited for him. I think he's going to be great for everybody.
Will, what do you think?
Oh man, I mean I like that. I like the Panthers overall. One thing one thing I think that stuck out to me, I mean, I'm a Rams fan here, not a big fan of what the Panthers are doing recently.
It was great.
Overall, I think something you said really stuck out to me in there, and I texted Joel this earlier this week when talking about who to start, who to sit. I think desperation really matters. NFL teams' desperation really matters when you get to this point in the season. Yeah,
Yep.
we're into week 15. There's 3 or 4 more weeks, 4 more games in the NFL season. But right now, it already happened, right? The Cowboys Lions just played. Basically, winner still has a shot to make the playoffs. Loser did not have a shot to make the playoffs. So every game from here on out for the Lions, if they win that game, is a playoff game. And it started in week 14. I think the percentages were like if Dallas won, they jumped up to like a 60-something%, and if they lost, it dropped down to a 9%. And if the Lions won, it jumped up to like a 56, 58%. If they lost, it was a 19% chance. And so these games right now are playoff games, and it is the same thing for Tet and the Panthers. That I kind of mentioned in my wrap up that game against the Saints didn't really matter. Well, it really mattered for the Panthers. The Saints beating the Bucks really, really mattered for the Panthers. It did not matter so much for the Bucks because they still control their own destiny, but it opened up the window for the Panthers to do the same. And so these Panthers have to keep winning if they want to make the playoffs. We mentioned this for the Bucks, but we're not going to get 2 NFC South teams in the playoffs. It's just not going to happen this year. There's not 2 of them that are good enough to break through. I said today that the Bears won't make the playoffs, and last week they were in first place in the whole NFC. So the desperation factor is what I like. And when it comes down to this late in the season, running usually takes over, right? Rico Dowdle and the boys in that run game will usually take over. But the only way that they stay able to do it is with the play action pass and throwing it over the top. And there's no one, maybe not no one better right now, but your biggest target, and the Panthers are full of physically large targets. But their rookie has been amazing this year. Tet has been a great receiver for them this year. I like Tet coming down the stretch.
All right, Avery, what do you think?
I think Tet's fine. I think he'll put up good numbers.
You sound like a Bucks fan.
I think he'll put up better numbers than Ibuka, but I don't think he's a better receiver than Ibuka. He's got
offensive rookie of the year.
Who?
Tet.
Tet?
Oh, yeah.
He's got less proportionally targets to receptions. He's got a worse percentage than Ibuka. If you count the drops, Ibuka's got 1 more, but he's also caught like 40 more passes.
Yeah,
better quarterback. Who's got a better quarter? Yeah.
Ibuka.
No, and that's why I went off on him. With Tet, I'm just like, sorry, dude. Like I don't expect more from you. I expect more from Ibuka, but for you, you're just like not that good. I'm trolling. But also, everything I said was true. I don't think those stats are real, and but also they're both rookies. But
it's fun.
But anyway, yeah, I think I would rather start Tet in fantasy over Ibuka.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer right now. You have to.
It's a little brainer.
You're right. Quarterbacks matter for sure.
And it's fun that we're sitting here this late in the season talking about these rookie receivers.
It is.
Like that's fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. They've been as advertised too. Like coming into the season, everyone was talking about Tet and talking about Ibuka. There was you had a little bit of talk about Luther Burden and some other guys, but like realistically, these 2 were the talk of the town before the season, and they are as advertised. And I think that's great for the league, like you said. Well, I think it's fun. It's fun for viewership. It's fun for the league. It's great all around.
All right, so I just want to give some quick thoughts on McMillan. So when you look at his fantasy stats, like per week, his numbers don't really jump off the page at you because he's only had 1 game where he has over 20 points. But in 10 of his 13 games, he's had at least 10 points, and that doesn't sound like a whole lot. But what you get from Tet is consistency, right? And that's really what you're looking for is consistency. You could have a guy that goes off for 40 points 1 week, but then gets 6 the next. Like, yeah, that's it's good, but it's also bad. With Tet, you don't really get a whole lot of bad games. You just get consistent games, but you don't get a whole lot of explosive games either. So I just think that what you're getting with Tet is just a consistent guy. And really, for me personally, that's what I look for in a guy in fantasy, is a guy who's I know is going to get me this amount of points every week. And that's what I like in a fantasy receiver. And that's what Tet is. So just moving into the fantasy playoffs, you can rely on Tet to just be a consistent receiver for you.
It is going to be tough against Seattle in that 17th week. If you make it to the championship, it's going to be tough against Seattle. But hopefully you got a pretty great squad.
Yeah. All right, so this next one here is actually a comparison of 2 guys. So this is Steelers running backs Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. Between the 2, which guy do you think is going to have the better fantasy season for the remainder of the season?
This matters to me deeply. Please go on.
Man.
Your opinion will dictate reality. Don't mess it up for Will.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
This is what will
Um,
happen.
So it's similar to what the Bears are doing. They split the work pretty evenly. Especially as of late. Warren gets a lot of the running attempts. I think he has 13 per game versus Gainwell has about 6 per game. But Warren gets 3 targets in the passing game while Gainwell gets 5. So like Gainwell's used in the passing attack. We see that on while we watch the games. Rodgers looks for him. Warren is more of that true running back through the tackles. That's his bread and butter. And Warren's great. I actually think Warren's a really great running back, and I would be very happy starting him every week, and I have been if I have him in any leagues. But Gainwell is someone that's been heating up. He's getting a lot of the rushing attempts right now as of late in the red zone, which I think is really interesting because he's a smaller back. He's that typical passing scat back type of player. And now he has 10 rushing attempts and 9 targets in the red zone in the last 4 games, whereas Warren has 6 attempts and 2 targets in that same span. So it's a little weird how they're splitting the workload. They definitely are getting kind of even snap share percentages, but Gainwell's getting more of the red zone looks, and that's something I'm banking on. That's something I'm looking at. So like right now, last week, Gainwell was running back 11, Warren was running back 15. Both had pretty solid weeks, pretty decent weeks, and both can be trusted in my opinion. But I think Gainwell, if you want more upside, and that's what we're doing in the playoffs, I think that's what we're doing in fantasy football in general, especially as we're trying to win a championship, I would go Gainwell for more upside. If you want safer floor, safer option in general, Warren is going to be your guy to start. And I think you'd start both of them. I really do. I think you start both of them, matchup dependent, of course, but I think you start both of them. I think Gainwell carries a little bit more risk just because he only has that true passing game dimension to him. Not that he can't run the ball, he can. But Warren has that upside on has that advantage there, and I think he gets more looks. That's because of that. But the red zone opportunities are there. The numbers don't lie. So I like Gainwell for upside reasons.
So follow up to that real quick before Will goes, because I know he's super interested in this. So for you, Steve, let's just say you had both guys. You have Jaylen Warren and you have Kenneth Gainwell. You said start both of them. If your other running back was a guy, let's say your other running back was a guy like Breece Hall, would you start Breece Hall over one of those guys, or would you start both Jaylen Warren or Kenneth Gainwell? Kenneth Gainwell, I should say.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think I'd start, if I had both of them, again, with upside being a thing, I'd start Gainwell just to get more points in a PPR league. A full PPR league, I think I'd start Gainwell over Warren as a flex option or even like a running back 2 option, just because of what we're seeing in the red zone as of late. The recency bias in me is looking at that and being like, okay, they're using him more in the red zone. I want that. I want those opportunities. I want that upside for scoring touchdowns. So I would start Gainwell there, and I would start Breece Hall because Breece Hall is just he's really the only back. He's the only back on that offense, and the workload's there. The Jets suck. I don't really want any running team members on the Jets. I don't ever have Breece Hall in any leagues. I try to stay away from the Jets, and Breece he's great. He's a good player, but I don't like the situation he's in. The talent is good, but I don't really like the situation he's in. And if you look at what's happening, the Jets, yeah, you can just say the Jets. They're not great, but like if you look at what's happening too, like they lost Taylor last week. That's not great for Breece in any reason. Just like it's not great for Jonathan Taylor, but this is more so on Breece because he's not as talented as Taylor. But Breece doesn't have Breece doesn't have Tyrod Taylor playing this week, or he doesn't even have Justin Fields. Like, I don't know if I'm starting him either. I think I'd probably start both of them in that. So it depends on like the situation in terms of like injuries, the quarterback play. But if you're just in a vacuum and you said quarterbacks are healthy, I would go Breece Hall and I would go Kenneth Gainwell personally.
Okay.
I like this. This pleases me. You may stay. I don't really want to add. I don't want to take away anything from what Steve just said. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't have anything insightful to say. I've got Gainwell, and I'm going up against Warren, right? So, like, I love everything you just said.
All right. So this is what I'll say. So these two guys are very, very close in terms of fantasy points throughout the whole season. They're only separated by 8.2 points right now for the whole season. So they're very, very close. However, if you look at their last 4 games, Kenneth Gainwell has 70.4 points and Jaylen Warren has 49.1. So Gainwell has had a very, very good last 4 weeks compared to Jaylen Warren. And, like you mentioned, he's getting the red zone touches, he's getting the catches, and he gets significantly more catches than Warren does. So I would say Kenneth Gainwell is the guy, because that right now, Kenneth Gainwell is getting more work, and he's getting more fantasy relevant work compared to Jaylen Warren. Also, like you mentioned too, Warren is getting most of the rushing attempts, but the Steelers are 29th in rushing yards per game. So they're not good at running the ball. So yeah, Jaylen Warren gets more running attempts, but they're not very good at running. So that's just another reason why I'm going with Gainwell, because he gets the goal line work, he gets the catches, and the Steelers are just, in general, just not very good at running the ball. So that's why I would go with Gainwell.
Yeah, if it's a full PPR league, like, you have to trust the catches, you gotta trust the targets, you gotta be happy about that. So yeah, Gainwell's the guy, in my opinion. Just recent. You gotta go off of recent stats, like you said.
Yep. All right. So the next guy here is Bears running back Kyle Monangai. How do you feel about Monangai moving into the fantasy playoffs?
I like him a lot. I really do. I like him in this offense. I like him with Ben Johnson. If we look at the last 2 weeks, he's actually, outrushed Swift the last 2 weeks on lower snaps. So he has he 36 versus 31 attempts, but he's rushing for 187 yards versus 188 yards compared. So that's pretty strong for him on less snaps. I think, Ben Johnson is utilizing both backs very well. I think this is what he did in Detroit. We're not surprised by this. He had Gibbs and Monty. He's doing it with Swift and Monangai, especially these last, 5, 6 weeks where things have been ramping up for them. They've been on a winning streak. They've been looking really good. Obviously, before the Green Bay Packers game, they're running the ball. They're leaning on their run game. Ben Johnson likes to do that. He likes to lean on the passing game too in certain situations. But this is Gibbs and Monty, like, not exactly the same because Gibbs is on another level, but it's the same, like, dynamic. So they're splitting up the carries almost evenly, just like Warren and Gainwell as of recently. So I'm going with Monangai over Swift in a lot of leagues. I think if you have Swift, you're obviously starting him as well because he does get the rushes attempts as well. But if you're looking at a pure runner, Monangai's that guy that can run between the tackles, and he does it. He gets the goal line work as well. I think I look for that just like I look for that with Gainwell, as we talked about earlier. And Swift's really good on the outside. He's good. He's an outside runner. He's great in space. I'm not taking that away from him at all. But I would rather have Monangai right now, who's getting more work. He's getting trusted in this offense, and it seems like Ben Johnson likes using him more and more around the goal line in the red zone. I'll bank on that. So I like Monangai a lot. I really do, and I want every piece of this offense. I really do. I know we were joking about Caleb earlier and stuff like that, but I like this offense entirely. I truly
We are
do. I think Ben
joking, uh-huh.
Johnson.
We weren't joking.
Ben Johnson has turned it around. So I want as much pieces as I can. Luther Burden's someone I picked up in a lot of leagues. So, like, yeah, I like this whole offense, and Monangai's one of the biggest pieces I like.
So the only thing that makes me question starting Monangai in the playoffs is he doesn't necessarily get the right usage for fantasy, if that makes sense. So if you look at, since Monangai had his start when Swift was out and he went off for, like, I think it was like 176 rushing yards, their carries have been split about 50-50. It's pretty close to 50-50.
Yeah,
And
pretty close. Yeah.
the only thing that I don't like about Monangai is he doesn't get a lot of targets or catches, which is
Mm-mm.
what you want for fantasy. So since week 9, he's only had a total of 5 targets and he's had 2 catches. So really with Monangai, you're relying on him to get a touchdown for him to be relevant in fantasy at all, which is kind of scary a little bit because you can't really rely on him to, he's not going to be, getting 3, 4, 5 catches a game plus the yards. So it's just, that's the only thing that makes me not trust Monangai. I really, really do like him as a runner and as a player, but just fantasy wise, I'm just a little bit scared just because he has to get a touchdown in order for him to really be a relevant player for you.
Yeah, he does. Boomer bust for sure. Touchdown dependent for sure. But he has had 5 touchdowns since the bye week. So their bye week was in week 5. He's had 5. I like that. That's my whole point is, like, I 100% agree with you. He's not getting any any targets. He's not the passing game back at all. But he is getting trusted by Ben Johnson to get the ball quite a bit. He had 14 carries last week, 22 carries the week before, 12 the week before that. He's getting more and more attempts, and he's getting that goal line action to score the touchdowns. Like, I'll take scores all day, and he has 5. So like I hear what you're saying. I do. I just think like I'll take the recency of like getting more usage out of this offense, whereas Swift is just Swift. You still start. I'm not saying you don't. I like Monangai more.
All right, Will, you're a Bears fan. Let us know what you think about Monangai.
Will looks like a Bears fan currently. That's what my dad told me the other day.
Nah, that's funny.
Did he really?
He
Shout out
did,
to
yeah, he texted
Wayne.
me that.
I don't know, man. What do you mean to say? This Bears team is bad. This offense is crumbling. This Bears team is bad. They did build an offensive line, and they've been able to run behind it, and that's great. But when you're taking away Caleb Williams, who is actively crumbling right in front of our eyes, all you then have to do is stop the run. And as we've seen with the Eagles this year, if you stop the run, that team is nothing. And what have people done against the Eagles? They stopped Saquon Barkley. That man has not been the runner he was last year, and you cannot even come close to arguing it. So people have seen, oh, hey, look, this Bears team can't throw the ball well. Let's stop the run. And maybe they can. Yeah, I'm not listening to it. And they're getting worse as the season goes on. Look at what now. Granted, 2 for the different teams here, right? But the Texans versus Patrick Mahomes, right? Everyone knows Chiefs cannot run the ball very well at all. All the Texans did was hold Pat Mahomes to 130 yards and 3 picks. So if you can eliminate an offense down to one-dimensional and you only have to worry about stopping one side of it, then that team becomes null and void. Caleb Williams is actively crumbling. I've been saying it for weeks. They did just beat the Eagles, but that was not a pretty game either. He's been getting progressively worse as the season goes on, and now we're in desperation mode where these teams have to win, and the Bears are going to be easy pickings. Now, the Bears' defense is going to keep them in every game. That is the fact. That defense is very good. Most takeaways in the league, they get the ball back for this offense because the offense is bad and they need the ball back extra times. But I don't trust any piece of it. I actually just dropped Monangai. I'm not dealing with that guy anymore. Dropped him. Well, so I have a waiver claim out, technically.
Why would you drop him?
I have a waiver claim out. I'm not dealing with this guy. I'm done with the Bears.
You're picking him up or you're claim? Oh, okay.
No. I'm dropping him for someone else. Let me look real quick.
Oh, don't.
Will's also in a league. Will's also in a league where like Christian McCaffrey is probably on the waiver wire somehow because none of these
I would never drop him on
football.
There's 2 teams.
So
there's 2 teams.
Yeah.
I'm getting
funny.
Woody Marks. I'm dropping Monangai for Woody Marks.
I mean, I like Woody Marks, like I said earlier, but I wouldn't drop Monangai. That's absurd. Monangai's scoring touchdowns. He's getting more usage. I don't think you should drop him.
Woody Marks? Who is that?
Texans running back.
This is Avery, co-manager of our fantasy team.
Woody Marks? It sounds like a porn name.
Now, my starting running backs on this same team, my starting running backs are Bucky Irving and Trevion Henderson. I've got Monangai in my flex spot. But I've got Gainwell on the bench ready to go in. So I don't need Monangai. I just don't. This Bears team, I don't trust a single person from this Bears team. I'm also in a different league.
Why don't you? What is it with the Bears that you don't like about their offense? Because I love the Bears and I love the offense and I hate
the Bears through and through. I didn't realize I had so much hatred for the Bears. And
why though?
I generally can separate teams from fantasy. I just don't think this team is good. I think they've just been getting lucky. And luck runs out, and we're at the time of year where you don't get to be lucky anymore. You have to actually be good. This is
Wait, do you not like them because they're not good? It's like hating a baby because they can't talk.
I don't like them because of the hype they're getting, I think is really what it is. The preseason hype that Caleb Williams is going to be an absolute all-star. I think that has pushed me to the edge of like I am their Sith. They are the Jedi here. I am their Sith. I hate them just because of who they are.
But he is playing better. He is playing better. I think
sure. He is playing better. And you know what? J.J. McCarthy's playing better this year than he did last year, too.
No.
So when
That
you
is true.
compare
Factually, that is true.
when you compare the two seasons, sure, he's doing better. He also has a coach who gives a damn. Sorry, Dwayne.
Exactly.
This year,
Exactly.
rather than last year. But that's only going to last for so long. We are at the time of year. It's Toyota-thon, right? This is Jordan Love season.
It's
This is
December
where-
to remember.
This is where luck, Andrew or other, goes out the window and skill comes to play. Bill Belichick always said, real football starts after Thanksgiving. Well, guess what? Thanksgiving's coming wins. And this is where all the frou-frou, Ben Johnson garbage, there's a reason the Lions didn't win the Super Bowl. Because you don't win on trick plays, minus the Philly special. But they were winning that game anyway. You don't win on double reverse sweeps. You don't win on any of that crap. You win on just run-of-the-mill. I almost said bear down. That's not it. That's just stuck in my head because I'm ripping the Bears right now. You win on fundamental football, and I don't think this Bears team has the fundamentals down pat yet, and this is where it really matters. The weather turns. Not one single person likes playing in cold weather. On the Pat McAfee show today, Jordan Love even said, I hate playing in cold weather. I just play with no sleeves so I can show how tough I am. Almost an exact quote, not the exact quote, but he said, it's miserable out there. And so no one likes it. And the Bears in Chicago play outdoors, and it's not fun for anyone. And I think the Bears are going to continue to be exposed for the rest of the season. And then when you can stop Caleb Williams because he's going to crumble under pressure, they're going to have to hand the ball off. And now we're putting 8-9 guys in the box because we don't trust Caleb to throw it more than 5 yards anyway. Let him scramble. That's fine. We'll put a spy on him and 7 other guys on Monangai or Swift or whoever's back there and let the receivers do nothing. Colston Loveland just happened to show up in week, 12, 13, was nothing for most of the season. Week 13 or so, he happened to show up, and people think he's the second coming of Dallas Clark. That's just not the case.
So just for the record, and for any Bears fans listening, this is not hating on Caleb Williams. This is just stating an actual fact. Caleb Williams is not better statistically than he was last year. His completion percentage is down from 62.5% to 57.8%. He's probably going to throw for more yards. Yeah. He's going to throw more touchdowns, but he threw 6 interceptions last year. He's thrown 6 this year. Chances are he's going to throw more than 6 interceptions this year with a worse completion percentage. So, I mean, I guess yards and touchdowns, yeah, he's better.
Yeah,
but
he's better. He's better in a lot of other categories.
Completion percentage and interceptions, he's not going to be better. He's already better at touchdowns, rushing touchdowns than he was last year. So there are specific areas where he's better, but there's also areas where he's worse.
And how long do running quarterbacks last? Right, Joe Burrow,
Josh
Lamar
Allen's still
Jackson. Okay, that
He's
man is built
huge.
different. That man is built different somehow. It's the Wyoming in him. That's what it is.
Yeah, probably.
But you look at all these other guys that are the same body type as Caleb Williams, they just don't last. They get hurt. And so that's not a long-term successful way to win. Also, I watched highlights the other day. This is how deep my hatred goes for this Bears team and Caleb Williams specifically. I watched the highlights of the USC collapse against Tulane. It is because Tulane made the playoffs, and it was like showcasing Tulane coming back to beat USC, Caleb Williams, USC. Nobody remembers. This is fine. 15 points in 4.5 minutes to come back and beat Caleb Williams' team. All right. This man has never been good. He's always been overhyped. That's my biggest problem with him. He's not bad. Obviously, he's one of the best 32 ball throwers in the world when it comes to football. But
not if Phillip Rivers comes back. I'm going to be 33.
I know. There are backups I would pick to start my franchise around over Caleb Williams.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. I'm a big Caleb guy, so I'll disagree with that, but I do think he's a valuable quarterback. I think completion percentage is definitely down. You got that 100%, Joel. It's not been pretty. Yards are up though. I do like that. Touchdowns are up. His yards per attempt are up too, which is really nice. And I think the best part about him in Caleb is he has not taken as many sacks as he did a year ago. So I do think that's all
Well, yeah, they
because
spent $1 billion on their offensive line. That's the way it should be.
and his scramble rate's pretty high though. I mean, he is getting around, he is getting away. It's not been perfect for him with the line in general. It's no Philadelphia Eagles line. It's no, typical line that we see from other teams that are really good. Even though they did spend a lot on it, it still hasn't been perfect. I do think he's progressing, and I do like him long term with Ben Johnson. I think that's what makes the difference overall for this whole team, including him. Like having Ben Johnson there, I think, Will, you said that earlier. It's a big difference. It really is.
Huge.
I mean, Matt Eberflus was the worst coach I've ever seen in a long time,
Matt
and like
Matt
he was
Nagy has to be
terrible.
worst.
Matt Nagy was pretty bad. Matt Nagy was
they were
pretty bad,
both
but
bad.
Eberflus was like he was just there for some reason. Like I don't think they were just waiting for Ben Johnson to come there because he had no idea what he was doing every game. So I like it, but I get your point. I do.
I do think this Bears team is going to be very good in the next few years. I think they're going to be very good with the same roster, and I'm going to have to just sit here and just eat it, and I don't have a choice. But right
but
now,
until then,
yeah.
you crap on them
right now, and so I'm going to.
All right. Well, that's all we got time for on today's episode, guys. I want to say thank you again to Steve for joining us and for talking some fantasy football. To anyone who made the fantasy football playoffs, we wish you good luck. Unless you are against us, then we hope you lose.
Eat our shorts.
That's all we got time for, guys. And as always, don't forget to keep your balls played with. We'll see you next time.
Bye now, y'all. Also, Mark Davis' haircut still sucks.